Use this one.
1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, please. 1 minute. Would you please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen? The show is about to start. We're about to start imminently. Would you please take your seats? Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the meeting of East Devon District Council on this evening, this very damp evening, 18th of October 2023. I'm your Chair, Councillor Eleanor Reynolds, and I do apologise for my lack of dress. My Vice Chair is modelling what I should be wearing, but I forgot mine at home. Okay, basic health and safety announcements. If the fire alarm sounds, we're not expecting a fire alarm, so please leave the building through the nearest fire exit by following the green running man signs, which may be behind you. They're all behind you. The organiser of the meeting will tell you when it is safe to return. You must make your way to the rear of the car park, even if it's raining. This meeting can be viewed live online and will be recorded. Please bear this in mind throughout the meeting. This is a fairly large meeting, so it is particularly important that colleagues use microphones when speaking and ensure that they are muted when not in use to avoid disturbance from background noise. Our agenda is available online at www.eastdevon.gov.uk. For anybody watching online, that's where you'll find it. Now, before we proceed, I wanted to introduce you to our new Head of Democratic Services, Mr. Andrew Melhuish. Welcome. He's going to stand up and take a bow.
Good evening, members.
So this, Andrew is the new Sue Hal. So if you have any problems, Andrew is your man. Right, okay, we're now going to start the meeting by doing a roll call of members present. When you hear your name, please unmute your microphone, confirm your attendance by saying present, and then mute your microphone again. I'm going to pass over now to Sarah from Democratic Services, who's going to do the roll call. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Arnott.
Present.
Councillor Barlow.
Present.
Councillor Blakey.
Present.
Councillor Bloxham.
Present.
Councillor Bonetta.
She sends her apologies.
Thank you. Councillor Colin Brown.
Present.
Councillor Jenny Brown.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bethany Collins.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Roy Collins.
Present.
Councillor Dumper.
Present.
Councillor Faithful.
Present.
Councillor Gazzard.
Present.
Councillor Goodman.
Present.
Councillor Haggerty.
Present.
Councillor Anne Hall.
Present.
Councillor Matt Hall.
Present.
Councillor Hawkins.
Present.
Councillor Hayward.
Present.
Councillor Hookway.
Present.
Councillor Hughes.
Present.
Councillor Ingham.
Present.
Councillor Jackson.
Present.
Councillor Jeffries.
Present.
Councillor Young.
Present.
Councillor Ledger.
Present.
Councillor Levine,
Present.
Councillor Loudon,
Present.
Councillor McKinder,
Present.
Councillor McCollum,
Present.
Councillor Nicholas,
Present.
Councillor O'Leary, no, Councillor Olive,
Present.
Councillor Parr,
Present.
Councillor Riddell,
Present.
Councillor Rickson,
Present, and can I also say that Councillor Kemp is sending apologies.
thank you, Councillor Rylance,
Present.
Councillor Smith, Councillor Toy,
Present.
Councillor Whibley's, Councillor Wilson,
Present.
and Councillor Ragg.
Present.
Thank you. Meeting is quorate, Chair.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, item 1, apologies. We've had a lot of apologies this evening, so I'll quickly read them out. We've had apologies from Councillors Heath, Davey, Fernley, Burhop, Bruce, Hartnell, Richards, Cagill, Chubb, Brian Bailey, Westerman, Martin, Jess Bailey, Howe, Johns, Sarah, Chamberlain, Fitzgerald, Whibley, Kemp and Bonetta. Does anybody know? Oh, Miss Councillor Whibley is actually here.
Hello. Yeah, I don't remember sending apologies for this, but apologies if I did send apologies.
Your reverse apologies are accepted. You are unapologised.
I'll go if you want.
Does anybody know of any other people who sent apologies? Who haven't? Okay, fine. Thank you very much. So we are quorate and we have many apologies, which presumably due to the weather and health. Right, agenda item 2, minutes of the previous meetings. Now we have a number of sets of agenda minutes to approve, dating back to July. We have 11th of July. If anybody has any comments on the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting that we held on the 11th of July 2023, would you please raise your hand now and use a microphone to express those? Does anybody have any comments to make on those minutes? Okay, thank you. In which case, I'm going to invite you to vote either in favour or against those minutes. If you are in favour of approving those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you are against approval, please raise your hand now. And if you would like to abstain, please raise your hand now. Okay, I think that's clearly carried. Thank you very much. Next, we move on to the minutes of the 19th of July 2023. Does anybody have any comments to make on those minutes or amendments to bring? Please raise your hand if you do. Nope. Okay. So if you would like to approve those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you would like to vote against those minutes, please raise your hand now. And if you would like to abstain, please raise your hand now. We have one abstention, I think. Thank you. All right, so that's carried, but with one abstention. Next we move on to the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting that we held on the 4th of October 2023. Could I please invite members to either vote in favour or against those minutes? Firstly, if you are in favour of those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you are against the minutes, thank you. If you're against the minutes, please raise your hand now. And if you would like to abstain from those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? We were absent. Okay, I was absent also. So that's 3 abstentions and everybody else voted in favour. Thank you. Okay, so thank you. I confirm that those 3 sets of minutes are approved as a true record of those 3 meetings. Thank you very much. Right, item number 3, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest on any matter on the agenda today? If you do, please raise your hand now and we'll record them. No? Okay, so if you discover during the meeting that you might have a declaration of interest to make, don't be shy, do make it at that point. Thank you. So mindful of the code of conduct, please state your declaration, including which agenda item your declaration relates to. I have to do this bit. State what exactly the interest is and the specific type of interest you're declaring. I don't think anybody thinks that they have a declaration, do they? But if you do, come forward with it. Okay, agenda item 4. Now, quite unusually, we have a number of quite well-known names registered for public speaking. So I'm going to call them in no particular order. I think it's going to be spectacularly topical today. So first of all, we have former councillor Jack Rowland, who would like to speak. Would you please come up, Jack, to the microphone? You have got 3 minutes. Starting now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, councillors and officers. Ever since a decision was made in March 2017 by the NHS Clinical Commissioning Group to remove the community hospital beds from Seaton Hospital, I've been concerned about the longer term prospect for the site in view of the 40% empty space. My fear was that eventually the remaining occupied space would be freed up by relocating the services elsewhere and then declaring the site surplus to requirements and then sold on the open market. This situation galvanised me into becoming initially a town councillor and then seeking election as a district councillor in 2019. With the assistance of other like-minded people and the local GP, who was also a chair of the Hospital League of Friends, we produced a business plan in June 2019 that met with the support from the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital and NHS Property Services. The favoured option was to purchase the site from NHSPCS and create a health and wellbeing hub, and charging the NHS a lower rent for the existing NHS clients. To finance the purchase, I had support from the League of Friends cash reserves, and a report was also presented to the East Devon District Council Cabinet in January 2020, where EDDC would take out a public works loan. The two amounts available would enable a purchase to take place and then transfer ownership to a local community interest company, who would then be responsible for making the monthly loan repayments back to East Devon District Council. The June 2019 business case still applies very much today, and I'm asking East Devon District Council to explore again the concept of being involved to secure the future of Seaton Community Hospital as a viable asset that can wash its own face financially, save the NHS money in the longer term by helping to prevent acute admissions to the RDE, and also be part of the integrated health care system closer to home for residents, not just in Seaton, but the wider Axe Valley area. The reason I'm asking for this, of course, is because of the news that's just broken about the Devon Integrated Care
30
Body
seconds remaining.
potentially demolishing part of that building, which has raised a lot of public alarm at that prospect. So that's the reason I'm speaking this evening. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowland. Leader, would you like to come back to that? Okay. Is it appropriate for Leader to come in at this point?
To respond to the public.
Would you like to
speaking?
Please.
If that's okay.
Yes. So the Leader's going to come in and give I think a sort of response.
Yes, so thank you very much, former Councillor Rowland, for coming along this evening. Picking up on the points in your speech, it was really disappointing, a tragic missed opportunity in early 2020 that the council didn't pick up the idea. There'd been a lot of us acquiring it as an asset. There'd also, I think you may remember, been an earlier idea of actually registering it as an asset of community value. Now, these, sadly, both were blocked by previous administrations. However, the good news is that work is still there that we may be able to draw on. And so as leader of this council, what I can assure you is we've already started having internal meetings about what the possibilities may be, and we will explore them as urgently as possible. My personal view is that in the havoc that's caused when you have too many agencies involved, what we as district need to do is show leadership on this, because we are the closest tier of local government that could actually do something about it for the people of Seaton and the Axe Valley. I thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you, Leader. Okay, so unusually in our public speaking section we have 3 councillors registered to speak. I am going to ask the 3 councillors to not speak from their sedentary positions. I'm going to ask them to go up to the public speaking area. The first person I'm going to call is Councillor Paul Hayward. Would you please make your way to the performance area? Next it's going to be Councillor Goodman. So I think you might need to go there.
Thank you, Chair.
3 minutes, Paul.
Thank you. Really, I'd just like to, in respect of agenda item this evening, to congratulate Councillor Brown on his appointment as leader of the Conservative group and Councillor Ingham as his deputy, and to thank Councillor Hartnell for his previous work in this role. Through the Chair, to ask Councillor Brown to urge the MP for East Devon to cease his public war of attrition against this council, the councillors and our officers, and work with this council not against it, for the greater good of East Devon District. To that end, through my role as Deputy Leader, I'd like to invite Councillor Brown in his new role to help facilitate a meeting with our 3 MPs, with the Leader, myself and my Cabinet colleagues, to discuss the problems and challenges we face as a local authority in the current era, and to develop strategies for how we work in partnership, councillors and MPs, to improve the lives of our residents, which in essence is the only reason for all of our public service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayward. That was sweet and short. So Councillor Goodman, please, next. You also have 3 minutes starting now.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I apologise because this should have been a question, but I was late in getting it in. This is to do with the peer review. We agreed in July to have the peer review. I wonder if officers could give all members a rundown of the timescales likely it's going to take to do the peer review, what's going to be covered and who's going to be involved. We did get one email out today, but I wonder if we could have something more substantial of exactly what's going to happen. And then the timescale when the peer review will report to this council, because it's such an important thing for us to be going through. I think a nice detailed report would help all members to understand. Thank you.
Again, short and sweet. Thank you very much, Councillor Goodman. Does anybody feel able to? Councillor Hayward, would you like to respond to that? I think you can do that from there.
Thank you. Well, obviously that's sort of put me on the spot. I mean, I've sort of got some notes drafted down. I think in terms of the question as lodged, I think that would deserve a written response rather than one sort of formulated on the hoof. But I can run through some principles of the work that stems from the motion that I proposed and that Council adopted. So in terms of the peer challenge, our 151 officer and monitoring officer have had a number of meetings with local government association representatives, and the peer review has been organised for the first week of February 2024. A peer review officer working group has been established, and this group has prioritised the steps that will need to be taken in the lead up to the peer review itself. The first key priority is to prepare a position statement. This is the document that authorities are asked to produce to the peer review team, and which will include information on local priorities, outcomes, organisational and place leadership, governance and culture, financial planning, management and capacity for improvement. You'll also be aware that we invited a review from the Centre for Public Scrutiny. They are hoping to start that review at the end of this month. They're proposing to carry out a short survey to be shared with all members of this council and senior officers around the 20th of October, so imminently. They're also seeking to interview key members and officers between the 8th and the 10th of November, and to attend the overview meeting of this council on the 9th of November. We also looked at a skills audit of cabinet members and key councillors across the council. This work has been allocated to the new Democratic Services Manager, who started a couple of weeks ago. Proposals will be presented to the cabinet at the meeting on the 29th of November this year. We also endeavoured to work to bring together cabinet and senior management team. Well, that is an ongoing process. And they've held a positive workshop on the 20th of September. Paul Clark, who members are aware of from the LGA, attended part of that meeting, and regular director meetings with the leadership are ongoing, and these are working well with a combined approach in dealing with the business of the council. We also undertook to commission a review of the training and support needs of our SLT. The HR manager has been liaising with South West Councils and the LGA and is proposing a programme which will define the senior leadership competencies required for this council, identify any developmental needs and how they can be met through a costed development plan, and then determine how the impact of that development will be measured. Finally, a report from our 151 officer on the budget implications of above proposals, which is integral to everything we do, how we pay for it. That report was presented to Cabinet on the 6th of September. Members will have access to that. And a detailed proposals and an update on progress will be presented again to Cabinet on the 29th of November 2023. But I'll be happy to liaise with Councillor Goodman if he could perhaps send his full question to me, and then I can liaise with him and officers to get a formal response to you. Thank you, Councillor Goodman.
Thank you, Councillors Hayward and Goodman. Is that a satisfactory response, Councillor Goodman? Brilliant. Okay, so I actually have Councillor Ledger down to vote, down to speak. Would you like to speak still, not vote?
No, I think the former councillor Rowland has covered it. Yep. And
Okay,
the
fantastic.
leader's answered,
Thank
so
you.
thank
That
you.
will save us 3 minutes. Right. Now then, agenda item 5, matters of urgency. I don't think we have any matters of urgency identified in this section. So we move straight on to agenda item 6, announcement from the chair and or leader. I just want to say COVID is still about, people. Be careful. I can say this from bitter experience of the last few weeks. Just look after yourselves. And I think the leader has something to say. I'll pass over to him.
Okay. Listen, you come here for the comedy. No, very briefly, Chair, thank you very much. Again, to welcome extraordinarily Councillor Goodman's enthusiasm now for this new process that we're going through. I love that. That's a welcome Damascene conversion. Very short announcement, Chair, to formalise 2 new assistant portfolio holders. Councillor Olive, who I think people have known about before, working with Councillor Young in Councillor Young's absolutely epic portfolio, and Councillor Fernley will also join in under the same portfolio, and I'm very happy to distribute through Councillor Young 2 members the sort of division of the specialisms of work that they'll be doing alongside Jeff. And I'd like to particularly thank Councillor Young for his consideration and thought on how this could work best for 2 of our younger councillors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. Okay. Nothing from any the deputy. No. Okay. So agenda item 7, confidential and exempt items. We don't have any identified to be dealt with in this way in this meeting. So on to agenda item 8 to answer questions. Now, we have questions, don't we? We did have questions. Do we have? No, we didn't have any questions. Okay, sorry, I'm going mad. Don't mind. Just bear with. It's taking a while to recover. Right, so we don't, extraordinarily, we don't have any questions on anything. So, I love this. Apparently everybody feels involved and they don't feel the need to ask them. Okay, right, so moving on swiftly to agenda item 9, which is reports from Cabinet and the Council committees and questions on those reports. Now, who is, blah, 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 we've got 2, 9A and 9B. Over to the leader, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll do them individually. So I'd like to present the minutes, please. Well, first of all, I'd like to apologise to Councillor Ragg, who has rightly said I should be standing up really doing this, but if I do, then nobody can hear me. So if you imagine I'm standing up, which is what we should all be doing. I'd like to present the minutes of Cabinet held on the 6th of September 2023, minute numbers 31 to 51, please, Chair.
Right, if you would like to, sorry, just a quick aside that actually if people stand up, Councillor Ragg, they can't be picked up by the microphones, unfortunately, we've discovered. So we have to weigh up convention and actually being able to be heard. And in the end, we decided that actually standing wasn't the best option anymore because of where the microphones are and how fixed they are. So unfortunately, if you're having trouble identifying who it is, just wave at me and I'll point at them.
I think I'm getting used to who's who now, thank you.
Okay, all right. I think it's better if people are heard rather than seen. It's probably best to hear their words rather than see them. I don't mean that in any rude way. Right, moving on swiftly. Right, so there are some recommendations from the Cabinet decisions, aren't there? And they are in your recommendations document. Are there any further questions on any of these recommendations, or is everybody happy to proceed to voting on the document? Right, okay. Right, so would you please, if you are in favour of those two sets of minutes, would you please, are we voting separately on them all together?
On block, if not.
Yeah, we'll vote for them en bloc. Okay.
Chair, I didn't present the second set, just to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Would you like to present the second set and we can vote for them en bloc?
I present the second set of minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Are there any questions on those? Okay, fine. If you are in favour of accepting those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you are against accepting those minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you will wish to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? I think that's largely carried. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to, where are we? Scrutiny. Councillor Goodman, please. Now you have two sets of minutes to present. Would you like to do them at the same time or separately? Do them at the same time.
Do at the same time. I put the two meetings of. I'm just getting the data.
Sorry.
Two scrutiny meetings, which was on the 6th of July minutes 1 to 8, and on the 7th of September minute number 9 to 18. There are recommendations in both. However, I'm not quite sure on the wording on the second recommendations that the leader and I agreed a slight change to the wording of that at the cabinet meeting, if you remember, leader. And I cannot remember exactly what we agreed precisely at that meeting, but it was because it was repeating some of the previous meeting from a group before on the planning side. So
I'm afraid I'm not following here. Is there an alteration of wording that's not present in the minutes?
your cabinet meeting, you'll remember we did agree to change the wording of number 4. But I can't remember exactly now what you agreed in the cabinet meeting to change it to. Which
scrutiny meeting was it, Councillor Goodman?
It was the second scrutiny
meeting.
The
7th of September one. Which item?
Number 4 of the second recommendation. Page 64.
Chair, if it may help.
Yes, please.
Was it cabinet on the 10th of October?
Correct.
Which we've just received the minutes.
Yes, it was.
So therefore, I think that's...
It's too late. It's too late. Sorry, I thought you were talking about scrutiny minutes, Councillor Goodman.
The point Councillor Goodman...
What I'm saying is...
Compasses.
All I'm saying is the scrutiny minutes show recommendations that at the cabinet meeting we agreed to change the recommendation at cabinet.
So the scrutiny minutes that we're about to receive are as altered by cabinet. Yes?
No, I don't think they have been altered.
No, because the minutes of the scrutiny meeting are the correct minutes,
Yes.
because that was what you agreed,
That's
but
right.
it happens that the cabinet have then changed them, so you don't need to make any changes.
Okay,
You
I just want to be
just
clear.
recommend them.
Thank you.
And it's page 62 for those members who want to have a look at it.
Okay. Right. So, Councillor Barlow, you had your hand up. Would you like to say?
Sorry, I was just going to say that those minutes were the correct of that meeting, but that was correct. But it was then changed to cabinet, but that's another meeting, and those minutes are
Right.
incorrect
Okay.
for that.
So we are actually just looking at the scrutiny committee minutes, which are as they are.
Correct.
Okay. Right. So we're going to consider these together. Thank you, Councillor Goodman. We're going to consider these together. If you would like to accept these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you wish to reject the minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you'd like to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? I think that's largely carried. Thank you very much. Right. Councillor Ledger, apparently you're down to present the minutes of the Housing Review Board.
Happy to present the minutes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Or, right, okay, if you are in favour of accepting those minutes, sorry, I can't see. Okay, Councillor Gazzard, would you please ask your question?
Thank you, Chair. As a councillor that really enjoys going to the Housing Review Board, I am disappointed that so many of the up-and-coming meetings have been cancelled, and councillors haven't been told why these meetings are being cancelled. Furthermore, I'm really disappointed that I couldn't attend, for various reasons, the meeting on the 15th of June, and you will see in public speaking, I emailed a letter to the chair. To date, I have had no response to the questions I've raised, so I'm really disappointed that these meetings are being cancelled, and that I make the effort to ask questions and I don't get any response. So is it possible that could I have a response, please?
Thank you, Councillor Gazzard. So I'm going to pass that back to maybe Councillor Ledger. I think he's saying that he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Could you send it again, Councillor Gazzard? Because I've not received anything. I would respond if I'd received something. So could you send it again? I'm more than happy to give you a response.
There was also the question about why so many cancelled meetings as well.
Well, thank you, through you, Chair, to Councillor Ledger. If you look at under public speaking, it explains what I was asking in my email that I sent to Democratic Services, which was forwarded to the chair of the committee at the time.
Okay, so the public speaking section of the minutes reflects all the questions you were asking. Okay, fantastic. So you actually have them
Yeah,
in the
so
minutes,
they were
Councillor Ledger.
answered at the meeting. So apologies, I thought this was subsequent to that. So with regards to a set of voice reports, that's actually on the forward plan for the committee. And the same with the stock condition survey, that's close to being completed. I believe it will be in the next month or so that will be fully completed, and then that will be reported back to the board.
Does that answer your questions, Councillor Gazard?
Yeah, that answers that question, yeah, but could Councillor Ledger tell me why these meetings have been cancelled? We haven't had a meeting of the review board since July, please. Since June, sorry.
I'm no longer the chair of Housing Review Board.
Yeah, I understand that, but surely there could have been meetings held in the interim. You could have elected a new chair.
I think that's exactly the process that we've gone through, and as you see on tonight's agenda, there's further appointments for the Housing Review Board. This is the earliest opportunity, so apologies that it's not the timelines, but that's just unfortunately how the council schedule's moved on.
Thank you, Councillor Ledger. I think we'll take this up outside the meeting,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Right. Okay, so Councillor Ledger has put forward his minutes for approval. If you are in favour of accepting these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? Thank you. And if you are against receiving the minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you wish to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? There's 2 abstentions, and everybody else was largely in favour. Thank you very much. Right, next up we have Councillor Howe, who has actually given apologies, so I don't know if anybody else is able to propose. Okay, I'll move them from the chair. So apparently I am moving from the chair the minutes of Strategic Planning Committee meeting held on the 9th of June 2023, minute numbers 1 to 7. The minutes of Strategic Planning Committee held on the 21st of July 2023, minute numbers 8 to 13. The minutes of Strategic Planning Committee held on the 5th of September 2023, minutes 14 to 24. Are there any questions? I don't think anybody will be able to answer them. Is anybody here who will be able to answer them?
Other members of the committee maybe, so we just need to see.
So are there any questions on any of those minutes that somebody might be able to answer who's already in the room? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to move them en bloc then from the chair. If you are in favour of accepting these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you are against receiving these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you'd like to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? Okay, that's clearly carried. Thank you very much. Right, next up we have Planning Committee, which is Councillor Ragg and or Councillor Chamberlain, but Councillor Chamberlain's not here. So Councillor Ragg, are you feeling able to move them all from all the minutes for the entire summit? Okay,
So
please
moved,
do.
Chair, thank you.
Okay, so we have, Planning Committee minutes 18 to 55 broadly, 3 separate meetings. Are there any questions about these meetings or minutes? Okay. Oh, Councillor Hayward, you have a question.
Sorry, Chair, just for the point of veracity, I think it's 13 to 55, not 18. There's a set from agenda
Thank
item
you.
9I.
It's
Thank
me
you.
being
Apologies.
blind. Right, okay, so I'll start again. Minutes 13 to 55. So that's 4 meetings, in fact, not 3. Right, if you are in favour of accepting all 4 sets of minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you're against receiving these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you'd like to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? That's largely carried, thank you. Right, next up we have the minutes of Licensing and Enforcement Committee, and there are 5 sets of minutes, I think. Councillor Wibley, please.
Hi, thank you, Chair. It's 1 set of minutes from the committee and 4 from the subcommittee,
Oh, golly, yes.
which is fine, for which I'd like to give thanks to Councillor Bloxham for her part in chairing some of those. I so move those minutes.
So are you moving them all then, Councillor Wibley?
Are we able to do that? Because it's
Yeah.
slightly different subcommittees. But yeah, no, I move them all.
Are we okay to
Yeah, that's
propose them? Okay, so
As
we'll
long as
vote.
everyone's clear what they're voting for.
Okay, so we are voting on one licensing and enforcement committee set of minutes and 4 sets subcommittee minutes. Okay, does anybody have any questions on them? Nope. Okay, if you're in favour of them, would you please raise your hand now? If you're against them, would you please raise your hand now? And if you'd like to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? That's largely carried. Thank you very much. Right, next up we have audit and governance, which is Councillor Hawkins. Would you like to move your minutes, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to move the minutes of the Audit and Governance Committee meetings held on the 27th of July 23 and the 21st September 23, minutes 1 to 13 and 14 to 23.
Right, are there any questions on these minutes? Nope. Okay, if you are in favour of these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you're against the minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you wish to abstain on the minutes, would you please raise your hand now? Okay, so that's widely carried as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Right, next up we have Overview Committee, and that's Councillor Anne Hall. Councillor Hall, would you like to propose your minutes, please?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to present the minutes of the overview meeting held on the 20th of July, which are minutes 1 to 8, page 149 to 152, with a recommendation to Cabinet on page 150. Thank you.
Right, are there any questions or comments on these minutes? Fantastic. If you would like to approve these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? If you'd like to reject these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? And if you'd like to abstain on these minutes, would you please raise your hand now? That's clearly carried. Thank you very much. Right, this is going to be fast. Better not jinx it. Right, next up we have overview. Hang on, I've just done overview committee, haven't I? Right, oh my goodness. We're on to item 10. This is extraordinary. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to the monitoring officer, Mel, to introduce this item.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, following Councillor Ledger stepping down from the Housing Review Board, we need to appoint a new chair to fill the place left by Councillor Ledger, and also to appoint a tenant leaseholder representative co-optee onto the board.
Right, do I have any nominations? Do I have any nominations to these positions?
Sorry, I should have added that.
Yeah.
I understand that Councillor Burhop is going to be proposed for the
Okay, right.
for the end. Yeah.
Right.
The rest is on the agenda.
Who is proposing? Okay, who is proposing? Where are we? No. Who? Okay. So, do you have a nomination for the chair, leader?
Yes, there's chair and there's the new member, 2 different things.
Right. Okay. So I'm inviting nominations for chair of Housing Review Board.
Yes.
Does anybody have any nominations?
Yes.
Okay. The leader has a nomination. Who's your nomination?
Councillor Sarah Chamberlain.
Okay. Councillor Barlow, you had your hand up.
So just a question. Obviously, I'm new to this. So how do you get to be nominated, or is it just the leader's wish?
Anybody can be nominated, Councillor Barlow. Anybody. So, you need to be on HRB in the first place. I think.
Sorry, I'm talking about the new position, not obviously for the chair.
There isn't a new position. There's.
Should I clarify that?
Sorry, as a councillor vacancy.
The vacancy is to fill Councillor Ledger's position, so it would need to be somebody from the Democratic Alliance group.
Thank you.
Okay, right, brilliant. Right, so we have a nomination of Councillor Sarah Chamberlain. Do we need that seconded?
Yes.
Does anybody wish to second? Oh, Councillor Ledger, would you like to second that nomination?
Yeah, if possible, Chair. Could I second that? But then could we take it just all on block, just for expediency, that we grant Councillor Chamberlain as chair, Councillor Burhop goes in my position, and then Pat Gore joins the committee.
Right, Councillor Burhop has not yet been nominated, but.
At the risk of offending Councillor Barlow, I'm happy to nominate Councillor Burhop. It's not because I'm the leader, it's just because somebody has to do it and I'm sitting here.
Sorry, it wasn't. I just wanted to find out what the rules were. That's all.
We have a nomination of Councillor Burhop to be the new member, the ordinary member of Housing Review Board. Does anybody wish to second that nomination? Councillor Ledger wishes, or Councillor Hayward, whichever. Councillor Ledger. We'll take Councillor Ledger again. Right, so we've got 2 nominations. We need to vote on them separately, don't we? Or can we vote on them en bloc?
As long as members are happy, you can take them en bloc.
Is everybody happy? Oh, shall we do the tenant member? We've got a tenant member nomination as well, which is Pat Gore. That's an endorsement, isn't it? So we probably need, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to vote on. We'll vote on the chair and the ordinary member now, and then we will vote on the endorsement of Pat Gore as the tenant member. So, if everybody's happy to vote on these en bloc, we have nominations and secondings for Councillor Sarah Chamberlain to be in the chair, and for Councillor Chris Burhott to be the ordinary member of Housing Review Board. If you are in favour of these nominations, would you please raise your hand now? If you are against the nominations, would you please raise your hand now? And if you would like to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? Okay, that's very clearly carried. Thank you very much. Item 10.3, we have a tenant representative, co-optee on Housing Review Board, and it's just, we're not voting her in. It's just a question. It is a lady, isn't it? We're just endorsing the appointment so that you know who it is, who's the tenant representative. So we don't need to vote on. Do we need to vote on this, or do we? We do need to vote on it, do we?
Yeah.
Okay. So we do need to vote on this, I'm told. So basically, what you're doing is approving the appointment, the co-option of Pat Gore to be the tenant representative on Housing Review Board. If you are in favour of this, would you please raise your hand now? If you're against it, would you please raise your hand now? If you wish to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? Thank you. That's very clearly carried. Okay, right. Last, but not quite last, nearly last, we have item 11, appointment to the Planning Committee. Now, this is to appoint Councillor Jenny Brown for a Conservative member to the Planning Committee to replace Councillor Fred Cagill, who I think has stepped down. So we need to vote on this, don't we?
Yes.
So this Jenny Brown is the nomination of the Conservative group to be a Conservative councillor on Planning Committee. So if you are in favour of the nomination of Jenny Brown, would you please raise your hand now? If you would like to if you'd like to reject that nomination, would you please raise your hand now? And if you wish to abstain, would you please raise your hand now? We have 1 abstention and everybody else in favour. Congratulations, Jenny, you're in planning. Right, item 12, appointment of new leader of the Conservative group, and we're welcoming back an old friend. Councillor Colin Brown has been put forward by his group as to be the new leader, and it is our role to formally approve him in council as the new leader of the Conservative group, and to bid Marcus farewell as leader of the Conservative group, and thank him for his time over the last few months. He's had to step down for professional reasons. So if you are in favour of Councillor Brown becoming the new leader of the Conservative... Oh, hang on. We have a question from Councillor Ragg.
Yeah, Chair, I don't recall this having been up for a vote in the past. The leader...
Oh, we're just
surely
noting
it's
it.
For the group, their own group.
So we're endorsing it,
to
I think.
select their leader. So could somebody explain that to me?
So, would you like a vote, Colin? Would you like people to show their approval?
No, I'm not asking for a vote on it. What I'm saying is that the Conservative group have appointed their leader.
Okay.
So why do we need to approve it? Is there a reason?
Okay, well, there's no reason, but it just might be nice to welcome him. Okay, we're just noting it then. We're just noting the appointment of Councillor Brown to be the leader of the Conservative group. Thank you very much for your attention to detail, Councillor Ragg. Councillor Hayward, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
It was just along the same point. I mean, effectively, you could reach a point. It is the gift of the Conservative group to choose their own leader, just as it is of any political group. And if it is open to a vote, effectively, it could be blocked. And
okay, fair enough.
You wouldn't have a leader of any political group then. So, but thank you for your clarification.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ingham, did you want to say something?
No need for you to answer your question.
You can't change what the Tory group have.
No. That wasn't my plan. That wasn't what I was trying to do at all.
Let me finish. What you can do is recognise that as a result of that, he's the leader of the opposition now. That's what you're recognising.
Thank you, Councillor Ingham. Right. Okay, this brings our meeting appallingly fast to an end. It's extraordinary. Oh, hang on. Sorry, we have Councillor Dumper. Not quite to an end then. Councillor Dumper.
Yes, sorry,
Sneaking
Chair.
in under the door, grabbing his hat.
I should have brought this up under item 10, but some weeks ago I spoke to Councillor Chris at Newton Popplewood, and his name is actually pronounced Burrup, not Burhop
Okay,
at all.
thank you very
So
much.
I wanted to bring that to
We'll put that
everyone's
down
attention.
as Burrup. Okay. Councillor Burrup is the new member on Housing Review Board. Right. Thank you very much for trekking all this way in the tipping rain, and stay safe on the way home again. Thank you. Bye.